As a driven dentist, you see the world differently. Where some see scarcity, you see abundance. When others want to give up, you keep going. You're building an amazing life of significance. That means you can't rely on ordinary advice from ordinary advisors to get to your goals. You want advice that's going to help maximize your net worth so you can take even better care of the people you love, the causes you care about, and make your dent in the universe. But the fact is, this advice remains hidden because relatively few professionals are well versed in them, and the extremely affluent don't care to let you know about them. Join us as we pull back the curtain to reveal the often hidden advice and strategies used by today's most successful individuals and families. Welcome to Dental Wealth Nation. Here's your host, Tim McNeely.
Hey, happy Friday to you and welcome to another edition of Dental Wealth Nation. And we have been going through, I just started a series for you that's so powerful called the Billionaire Money Rules. And we are looking at the strategies, the tactics, the mindsets that are used by billionaires that you too can use to help create wealth for not only yourself, but the people you love, causes you care about, really change the world for the better and build that amazing life of significance. And really, like I said, this is the mindset, the frameworks that billionaires have when they create extreme wealth. Now, there's no guarantees that if you follow these rules, you're going to be a billionaire, but these rules can absolutely help you create wealth, like I said, for yourself and build that amazing life of significance. Now, the rules, they are arbitrary, right? We had to give them some numbers, so we did. And all the rules are arbitrary except for this first rule. And, I've hired John Bowen, who's one of the leading experts in private wealth, and also Russ Allen Prince, who has extensive experience in working with billionaires to really keep me up to date on these strategies. I've helped underwrite a lot of this research that I'm sharing with you. And the research is so clear when it comes to the very first billionaire money rule. And one of the core drivers of success is a commitment to wealth creation. The super rich, they know their numbers. So let's dive in and let's start talking about the steps for implementation and how you can do this. And so, it really does start with this commitment to extreme wealth. So important. We see it time and time and time again. It's a driver of success. And the first thing you really want to ask yourself is, how much do you want to be worth, right? State your financial end goal. This is step number one. How much money do you want? Do you want to be a billionaire? Would you settle for a few hundred million, maybe a few million, right? Decide on the number that you are aiming at. And it should be a number that's going to be reasonable for you, thing you can achieve. So that's really step one, is you want to state your financial end goal. Step number two is you want to be able to identify critical milestones. So one of the mistakes that we see is you may have that number and you may be striving for it, but it's so far off in the distance that you're really not measuring the critical milestones along the way as you're working to increase and build your net worth, right? It's so far off. Well, you want to make it a goal. You want it to be real. You want it to be tangible. You want it to be measurable. And if you do that, you're more likely to obtain this goal. In fact, Cameron Herold, author of a book called Double Double, who used to be the former chief operating officer of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, talks about creating a vivid vision. And right, that those number goals, like I said, they can be nebulous, they can be a little unclear, but if you get clear, if you create that vision of wealth creation, what it looks like for yourself, for your family, for the people that are important to you, you're really more likely to obtain it. And so, think about what that dollar amount is for you. What are some milestones that are important for you to track, not just annually, but also quarterly too? Because once again, if you start tracking quarterly, you're going to really pay attention to these numbers more. And so maybe for you, it's acquiring some properties And, you say, hey, in the next years, I want to 10x my net worth. And to do that, it's going to, be growing my business 10x. And along the way, diversifying not just in the equity markets, but also in real estate, right? State those numbers. How much money do you want? And what do those milestones look like? So that's step number 2, is you really want to identify your critical milestones. Step number 3, you got to go to work. You have to make it happen, right? You may have a vision, but you actually have to go to work and make it happen, right? And if you're here, if you're listening to this, you are not scared of hard work. That's why you are tuning in and you are willing to do the work, right? So often you may hear about people who are an overnight success, but the truth is we all know it takes hard work. And so that's why step number 4 and that commitment to extreme wealth is really, you got to go to work. You got to make it happen. And then lastly, step number 4 for that commitment to extreme wealth is you want to keep those goals top of mind. So often, it's so easy. I know it happens to me. You can lose sight of what you're trying to obtain, what your objectives are, and your attention is going to get drawn off to a million other things. The super rich, it happens to them too. They are prone to getting off track, but they don't let themselves get sidetracked for too long. They absolutely remain laser focused on their most important goals and what they're trying to achieve. And this is something you can do too. And so just to recap, right, we're talking about billionaire money rules, and rule number 1, not an arbitrary rule. There's a reason this is first. You want to commit to extreme wealth. And some of the things that you can consider doing, there's really 4 steps to these. And if you want this report, I'm happy to send it to you. Just put it in the comments and I'll shoot it to you on whatever platform you're on, or you can send me an email. I'll get you these reports. And step number 1, that commitment to extreme wealth, 4 steps. Number 1, state your financial end goal. Number 2, identify your critical milestones. Step number 3, go to work, make it happen. And then step number 4 is you really want to make sure that you're keeping your goals top of mind. And so those are your steps for implementing rule number 1. And so take a minute, grab paper, and do this, right? Rewind to the beginning, walk through this, and let's work through this together, right? Write down your goals, come up with some critical milestones, get to work making it happen, keep these goals top of mind. If you want to talk about any of these, happy to help you. Now with that, there's also some considerations and things you will want to pay attention to as you're working on these billionaire money rules. And so let me bring up some guidelines for implementation for you also. And when we start looking at the guidelines, there's a couple things that you really do want to pay attention to. And those guidelines, if I can get the right screen here, the guidelines that you'll want to take a look at really start with, knowing and understanding the super rich. And they're flexible about their goals. They realize you have to be flexible in achieving what you're shooting for. And so when we start taking a look at some of the guidelines that you may want to consider paying attention to, we're going to dive in. So the guidelines you want to really think about is guideline number one, understand something called the plateau theory of financial unhappiness. Now, I know what you're thinking, Tim, what the heck is that? I don't even know those words coming out of your mouth. Well, we're going to dive in and we're going to explain that to you. So you really do want to spend some time and understand this. This is so important. As you strive for your goal, as you keep pushing towards it, what you're probably going to find is that you get closer to your goal, you're going to want just a little bit more. I believe it was Rockefeller who said, how much more money do you want? And he said, just a little bit more. But what's so important to understand is that the higher you climb and the closer you get to the summit, you're going to find out that it was just a plateau for you, not really a top. You're going to want to go further and further and further. The super rich do this too. Many of the highly motivated super rich reach their net worth goals, they reach what they're trying to achieve, and they say, well, that was a plateau. It's not the pinnacle. And so they reset their goals, and you're going to want to have some flexibility. This is the wealth creation impact for you, is if you reach a plateau, what should you do? Well, you can reset your financial end goals, and you can establish some new goals for you. But you're going to want to set the bar even higher, not incrementally, you want exponentially. Incremental thinking produces incremental results, exponential thinking, exponential results. So that's guideline number one. Guideline number two, you're going to want to readjust your milestones. Once again, so important. I'm not suggesting that you change your financial end goal. If you want 1 million or 500 million or $1 billion, you don't need to change that. What you do want to consider is perhaps changing some of those intermediary objectives and accomplishments along the way, right? Some of those milestone goals are what you may want to consider resetting and looking at. Once again, the super rich are very, very flexible in their thinking and their approach. They make those decisions so they can adjust things appropriately. What's the wealth creation impact to you? Well, you don't want to get emotionally attached to some of these milestones. So for example, you may become really attached to a particular business, or if you're in the DSO world, right? You may have one dental practice out of your 12 that you really, really love, and you can get so emotionally attached to this one, even though it may not be the best one. So you don't want to get emotionally attached to some of these milestones. You want to be able to be flexible as needed. On your road to create personal wealth, you got to be able to make changes and adjust. Guideline number 3. Once again, keep your eye on the prize. This is what the super rich do so well. They maintain laser focus. It's so easy in today's world, right? Between the constant notifications on your cell phone and Facebook yelling at you and the news and everything that's going on, so easy to get distracted. But you really want to stay focused. As you confront some setbacks and uncertainties, you may forget about reaching your financial end goals. I don't want that to happen to you. The super rich, they absolutely face setbacks just like you and I do, but yet they keep going. It's built into who they are, what they are. And chances are, if you're listening to this also, you have that same kind of drive. What's the wealth creation impact for you? Well, perseverance is absolutely essential to getting financial success. You have to keep going. You have to keep pushing forward. Becoming fabulously wealthy, you need to not know your end goal. You have to take action on it, and you can't get sidetracked by the small stuff that's out there. And so that is billionaire rule number 1. Commit to extreme wealth. Once again, if you want a copy of any of these reports, happy to share them with you. Just make a comment down below in the comments. Say, hey, send me the report. I'll get that off to you. If you want to talk about some of these and explore them, let me know. Happy to jump on a 15-minute call with you and work through some of these issues and really help you think through what your numbers are, what they should be. This is what I do all day long for people. Would love to help you too. I know you found this valuable. Once again, don't just listen to these. You got to take action. Tune in next time as we get into billionaire rule number 2. Until then, get out there and make it a great day.
You've been listening to Dental Wealth Nation. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. Join us next time as we pull back the curtain to reveal the often hidden advice and strategies used by today's most successful individuals and families, and help maximize your net worth so you can take even better care of the people you love. Till next time, make sure to hit the website at dentalwealthnation.com.